In most people's minds, the monk Xuanzang's journey to fetch Buddhist scriptures was an imperially sanctioned mission. The emperor personally saw him off, they swore brotherhood, and he was given an official travel document. That is the story told in Journey to the West. But the real history is almost the exact opposite. In the year 629, a monk named Xuanzang submitted a petition to the Tang court requesting permission to travel west in search of Buddhist teachings. Permission was never granted. In the early Tang dynasty, borders were tense and exit controls were strict. Leaving the country without authorization was a serious crime. He had no travel document, no official permission, no escort. Under Tang law, what he was about to do was called illegal border crossing, but he went anyway. 17 years later, he returned to Chang'an, carrying over 650 Buddhist texts. What awaited him was not punishment, but a personal audience with the emperor. A fugitive who had illegally left the country became the empire's most honored guest. Xuanzang was not an ordinary believer. He was one of the most accomplished Buddhist scholars of his time, and the reason he left was a specific crisis of knowledge. After centuries of translation and copying since Buddhism's arrival from India, serious contradictions had emerged between different versions of the scriptures. The same concept carried entirely opposite meanings in different texts, and rival schools argued endlessly with no way to determine which version was correct. His conclusion was clear. The only solution was to go back to the source, travel to India, and find the original Sanskrit texts. This was not a pilgrimage, it was an expedition to trace knowledge to its origin, but the court did not care about his reasons. That year, a severe frost hit Chang'an, and the government permitted civilians to leave the city in search of food. Xuanzang slipped out of Chang'an, mixed in with the stream of refugees. When he reached Liangzhou, the military governor Li Daliang discovered his intentions and sent men to bring him back. A local Buddhist leader named Huiwei, moved by Xuanzang's determination, secretly dispatched disciples to help him escape under cover of night mangla. By the time he reached Guizhou, the court's arrest warrant had already arrived. According to historical records, the prefect of Guizhou, Li Chang, was a Buddhist who tore up the warrant in front of Xuanzang's face and even provided him with a white horse. A fugitive kept moving forward by the risks that strangers took on his behalf at every turn, step by step, walked beyond the empire's reach. The real test began after he crossed the border. While traversing the vast Gobi Desert, he lost his way and knocked over his only water container. For days, he had nothing to drink, and he came closer to turning back than at any other point in the journey. He survived only because his old horse found a water source. After the desert came the Pamir Plateau and the Hindu Kush, mountains where temperatures dropped dozens of degrees below zero, where some of his companions froze to death on the road. His route from Chang'an to India was not a straight line. It passed through what is today Xinjiang, Central Asia, Afghanistan, and Pakistan before reaching northern India. When he finally arrived at Nalanda, the highest seat of Buddhist learning in India at the time, he studied there for 5 years under the most authoritative Buddhist master, Xian. At a Buddhist debate of national scale, according to the records, no one was able to successfully refute his arguments for 18 consecutive days. A monk who had smuggled himself out of the East proved himself the foremost scholar in the land where Buddhism was born. In the year 645, Xuanzang returned to Chang'an carrying 657 Sanskrit texts. Emperor Taizong received him in person. According to the records, the emperor asked, "Why did you not inform me when you left?" Xuanzang replied, "I submitted petitions multiple times, but permission was never granted. I am deeply ashamed of having acted without authorization." The emperor did not pursue the matter. Over the next 19 years, Xuanzang led the translation of 75 Buddhist works, totaling over 1,300 volumes, fundamentally reshaping the intellectual foundation of Chinese Buddhism. The records of the Western regions, dictated by Xuanzang and compiled by his disciple, became a crucial document for later generations seeking to understand Central and South Asia. Centuries later, archaeologists used the book to locate ancient sites that had been entirely forgotten. The system had not changed its rules. When Xuanzang departed, he was a man who had illegally crossed the border. When he returned carrying over 600 texts, the same act was redefined as seeking the Dharma for the nation. The rules did not change. What changed was the meaning that the outcome gave to the act. Xuanzang's story proved one thing: the most valuable knowledge often lies beyond the boundary, and sometimes the only way to reach it is to cross the boundary itself. Systems draw borders for the sake of security, but between security and progress, there is a tension that never disappears. When a system is confident enough, it will embrace those who cross the line and return bearing treasure. When a system lacks confidence, it will punish anyone who crosses, regardless of what they carry. Xuanzang's fortune was not only that he survived the journey and made it home, it was that the empire he returned to was one in its ascendancy, confident enough to accommodate someone who had broken its rules. The same departure, in a different era, might have met an entirely different ending. Rules define the boundary, but the breakthroughs of civilization almost always happen at the moment someone is willing to step across it.